So I feel really uncomfortable, and this is not something I'm so excited to do, but it is something that I want to do, and I know it's something that the Lord has been telling me to do, so I have to be obedient. And I'm just gonna share my testimony with everyone watching. Originally, I was gonna just film this and put it on YouTube and just let kind of anyone see if anyone watched it. But the Lord spoke to me and he told me no. He said, go tell your people what I have done in your life. And my people means the people I follow, people on my Insta, people on my Facebook. So I'm gonna be an obedient child and post this on my social media. Yeah, so I just encourage you to sit down, open up your ears, open up your heart, and expect for you to get something out of this video, because it is not for nothing that you're watching this. I want to take it back all the way to the beginning, when I first met the Lord. I was 3 years old, and my grandma, she invited me to her church, and I remember exactly, I don't really remember much of like that age, but I remember exactly just learning about the Lord and everything he says about me, and just learning who he is. It just enticed me and made me so joyful, and I received Jesus as my savior, and I vividly remember that. I think I did that like twice when I was small. I feel like you could never receive Jesus as your savior way too many times. You just can't. But yeah, I loved God and I loved learning about God. I loved going to church. But soon after I started going to church, we moved to Arizona. And for a couple years we didn't go to church, but then my mom became a Christian, and so we began to look for a church to attend in Arizona, and went to a couple. They were like alright, but we finally went to the very last church that we went to in Arizona, and it was amazing. I loved it. I received a lot, and I remember I had a teacher. Her name was Teacher Vanessa, and she blessed me with a journal, and she told me to just write to the Lord in my journal, and that would be like my way of communicating with him. And I did that, and that's just how I spoke to the Lord. Every night I would pray, and I would just bow down and thank God for everything in my life, and I would pray for my family, and that's just how I was. I was devoted to God at 9 years old. And soon after that, my mom got pregnant, and we were living in Arizona, and so we decided to move back to California because just a bunch of things. It made sense to move back here to California. And at this time, my parents are both Christian, both, kind of on fire for the Lord, and we found it. Well, my dad had been going to this church for years, and it was a Pentecostal church, and right off the bat, I loved it. Praise and worship was amazing, and you know how Pentecostal churches are. If you are Pentecostal, the fire of the Lord is present. And yeah, I was on fire for God. I was serving with the kids, and I was just really hungry for God's presence. I grew up like learning about the supernatural, so I loved just like when the pastor would pray over me, or just when God's presence would just overfill the room. I just loved those days where just the Spirit took over. But as I kept growing up, I kind of just didn't really know where to go or what to do next. Like the church, it's an amazing, awesome church, but there is like no discipleship, no leadership, nowhere I could turn to and say like, what's the next step? What do I do now? How do I grow? And I was just really young at the time too, so I kind of just strayed away and stopped going. I'd go every other week, and just it really just quickly evolved into me kind of just not really going. And when I would just go to make my parents happy, and that's it. Well, at around the same time, and also during this time, I did have a lot of insecurity issues and needing to feel validated, needing to feel special. Just didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity in the Lord, which meant I didn't know my identity in myself, in the world. I didn't know, and that didn't, like, I didn't get better from that. When I went into high school, I went in with a lot of insecurity, self-doubt, physical insecurity, just like, I just didn't like who I was as a person. And you know, it did stem from a lot of my past, a lot of things that were said to me, a lot of generational curses from my mom. She suffered with a lot of insecurity, a lot of just crazy things in her life. So it just, from generations and generations, it was in my heart, it was in my mind. And so I looked for validation and attention on social media, in people and friends, and particularly in a guy. My freshman year, I was like obsessed and like in love with this guy, and you know, he didn't really like care for me. Anytime that he would give me attention, it was through like my sexuality, and I remember that's how I really got that like attention from him. And that just spiraled into me doing like sexual things. And I remember as a kid, I made a promise to God, like, I'll save myself until marriage. So I remember when I started opening those doors to sexual immorality, I would be like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this, but I won't have sex. Which is dumb, because you're opening those doors, you're in that situation, I was putting myself in that situation, and I eventually did have sex. I had sex with this guy who wasn't even my boyfriend, not even wasn't even my boyfriend, he wasn't my husband, and he didn't love me, he didn't care for me. And I remember that particular day, I walked home like crying. I walked home by myself, crying, just feeling gross and shameful, and I still had my beliefs, and sometimes I would run to God, but I didn't want to give up like having communications with this guy, because it was just a really unhealthy soul tie, like really, really, really unhealthy. And you know, I kind of thought like, well, I did it this time, I'll just keep doing it. I'm not even going to church, so like, why should I care? And yeah, so I was just having sex with him all the time. Eventually throughout high school, that just opened the doors to all sin. I started drinking and doing drugs and going to parties, and like, this was just normal in high school. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, well, this is my life, like, this is normal, like, everyone's doing it. I didn't really even think it was sinful. Sometimes I would feel like a bit of conviction, and I would feel like, oh yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing this, you know, like, I believe in God, like, if I died right now, I would not go to heaven. Like, I was kind of just like okay with that. I just started just completely disobeying God, and kind of just putting my beliefs on hold. I would always say, okay, when I'm old, I'll just go back to God. When I'm like 30, when I have a family, I'll go back to God then. Like, that's fine. And that just led me down a deeper hole. That sinful life was just a part of my life. Lying, stealing, manipulating, having sex, doing drugs, just doing anything I wanted. That was just kind of part of my life, and thought it was normal. I didn't go to anyone to talk to anyone. I was never good at opening up to anyone, and I felt like I didn't have anyone to open up to, which, you know, I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. I just kept everything to myself and deep bottled in. So all of this insecurity, all this pain from not respecting myself and opening up my body to, you know, guys who didn't even care about me, I just kept bottling that pain, and I didn't open up to anyone about that. And that's when anxiety and fear came into my life, and I got depersonalization and derealization from just numbing myself. And I literally got to a point where I was so numb that something happened in my brain. You can research depersonalization and derealization, but I began to think I wasn't even real because I was so numb. And that's when I just started questioning my existence, and not only my existence, but my beliefs. And so I got onto the computer, I started looking up, things about spirituality and the truth and conspiracy theories. And this is how a lot of people get into this hole, from numbness and confusion and pain, which I was feeling. And I got really, really curious about, like the spiritual realm and astral projection and lucid dreaming. I got really, really, really into it because I grew up knowing about the spiritual realm. So all of this stuff, it was like not foreign to me. Like, how a lot of people just don't believe in spirituality. I believed in spirituality my whole life. So this was a different type of spirituality that I had never known and I was really curious about. And opening these doors, man, I opened up doors this to even greater fear. I remember every night, since I was so into lucid dreaming and astral projection, every night when I would go to sleep, my body would start to vibrate and my spirit would try to get out of my body to astral project, and just like really terrifying things would start to happen to me. I would get terrifying night terrors. And at this point, instead of turning to Jesus, I just kind of turned away from Jesus because I thought Jesus had caused all this fear in my heart, all of this anxiety. I thought that because of my background in Christianity that I was going crazy, and because I knew about the spiritual realm at such a young age, that like all of these spirits were like taking a hold of me, and it was really a terrifying time in my life. I was living in such fear that I believed that this reality was like a blanket that can just be ripped off of me, and that everything I was thinking was crazy. I thought I was crazy. I thought I wasn't real. And I started just getting angry at God. And at around this time, my sister, she was going through her own things in her own life, which I'm pretty sure she's gonna make a video about. I hope she does because her testimony is amazing. She came to my house and she kind of just told me everything she was going through, and I told her a bit of what I was going through and how I was dealing with a lot of fear, and I put the blame on God. I didn't put the blame on God. I put the blame on Christianity and on how our beliefs made me so fearful and held me back from a lot and made me feel ashamed for my sinful nature that I just wanted no accountability for. And at this time, she showed me a video about this religion called Baha'i, and that was like a one world religion. And I remember immediately getting sucked into that because it was everything I wanted to hear. The best thing ever, not being held accountable for my sins, not making my God feel bad that I'm having sex with whoever, doing whatever I wanted. That sounds amazing. Like, anyone can go, like, everyone's gonna go to heaven. Okay, that sounds amazing. Like, yes, of course, give it to me. I want to know more. And I just got sucked even deeper into this spirituality path. I remember a couple days after that, there was like this new age Twitter that would like give advice, and it was spirituality. I DM'd this guy, kind of just telling him where I was at and how I thought Christianity was holding me back from my journey in spirituality. And he DM'd me back. He was like, yeah, like I encourage you, stop being Christian. It is holding you back. And here's this group chat of people who think just like you, who are into spirituality and enlightenment. And I got into the group chat and I just started diving in. Same way I dove into the things of God, I dove into this. I thought I was becoming wiser and enlightened, and I got really into meditation and Buddhism and Hinduism and Western esotericism and just a lot of religions, a lot of beliefs, a lot of spirituality books, enlightenment books, tantric sex books. I got really into spirit guides and numerology, and really into numerology like numbers would follow me everywhere, and it wasn't normal, like not in the normal way. Anyone who was around me at this time knows it was not normal the way these numbers would follow me. And I would research what these numbers meant, and pretty much it was a way of spirit guides contacting me and speaking to me through these numbers, and each number was a different spirit guide, a different meaning, a different path, a different message. And I would, every time I would see like the number 555, I would be like, oh, this means this and that. Spirit guide, like help me. I open up my future, and this, I would literally speak to these spirit guides, and I thought they were like angels helping me on my path to become better and greater and all of this stuff. I was just so lost. I thought I wasn't lost. I thought I was found, but I was lost. And yeah, that's just how I was living. My parents didn't know at this time, and I thought I was becoming so enlightened and so loving and kind, and I was advertising like this love and peace for meditation, but I had no love, I had no peace. I didn't care about the people around me. I just cared about what I could do for myself, how I could make myself more wise, how I could do this for myself, how I could please myself more. I became so unaccountable for my sins. I lost my moral compass. If you thought I was bad before, I was 20 times worse, 20 billion times worse. I just had no self-worth. I didn't care if I was hurting anyone. That includes myself. I was hurting myself. I didn't care. I just cared about myself and me and me and me. And that's just how I was living. And that's just how New Age spirituality is. I mean, it's the truth. It was just all about me and loving me and doing what I wanted. And I thought, I would look at Christians and I would think, man, they are so closed off. Like, man, they are so lost. Man, their minds are so small. I just feel bad for them. I feel bad for those Christians. Like, I would look at my sister because she went back to Christianity, and I would look at her and I'd be like, man, I feel bad for her. Like, man, that sucks. And something that I did realize in spirituality and enlightenment and new age things, it's like you think you're a god, and this path is you finding your way back to your true God and goddess self. And I thought, oh yes, that's what Jesus came to do. Christ consciousness. It totally makes sense. Yes, this is everything I want to hear. But no, I was being deceived, and I found myself reading, researching, meditating, putting these things into practice, but nothing filled that void. Nothing. For a while I would feel purposeful, but immediately again I'd feel empty, I'd feel void, I'd feel gross, nasty. And I would do more research. What can I do for this? What can I do for this? Oh, okay, I need self-confidence. I'm gonna do this, and this. Oh, I need peace. I'm gonna do this, and this. Oh, I need my finance. I'm gonna do this, and this. But then when I'd fix this, everything else would crumble down. I'd fix this, everything else would crumble down. And I was really into psychedelics at this time, and that just enhanced my beliefs and made me believe that I was a god, a goddess, and I was so much more enlightened than everyone else. And the thing that the enemy does is he will disguise himself as God. He will disguise himself as good. So I remember when I would do psychedelics and I'd think I was becoming so wise, I would kind of look at my life and I'd be like, oh yeah, I should probably stop doing this. And I would try to stop having sex with whoever, but it would get worse. But then I also wouldn't care. I would try to stop drinking and going out so much and doing so many drugs after a psychedelic trip, and I would try it maybe for like a day. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get set free. But I didn't really care. I was just like, well, every path is the path and I will be on the right path. So it's okay if I do this. It's okay if I do this all the time. It's okay if I drink every weekend. It's okay if I roll every weekend. It's fine. Like, it's no big deal. And that's just how deceived I was. There was one night after hanging out with my friends, one Sunday night, I remember driving home by myself, and the main thing I was trying to do, I was trying to find the truth. And I was driving home and I was like, man, like, I'm doing so much for this truth, for this enlightenment, but I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't feel good enough. I don't have anything to show for everything I've been doing. And I felt really empty. I was just crying on my way home. And I remember coming into my room just broken and lost and really hurt from all the pain I've been causing myself. And I pulled out my journal. And I still, throughout these years, I would always journal, but I stopped writing to God for a while. And for the first time in maybe 3 years, I wrote, "Dear Jesus, I don't know what the truth is. What is the truth? Do I belong at a church? Because I think those people are lost. Are you real? Are you the truth, Jesus? Like, what is the truth?" I just wanted the truth, and I was just fully seeking the truth, not even in a prideful way anymore. I just put my pride to the side. I was willing to say, if everything I'm believing is fake, then okay, but I want the truth. And soon after that, my sister, she was having a Bible study at my house. She had started those Bible studies for about 3 weeks already, and I remember I would go, and then I would just like go have sex after and then go party after. But this particular Thursday, I went, and I was kind of just going just to go because it was at my house, so I couldn't say I was busy. So I just went, and I wasn't really listening too much. I didn't really care. But my sister, she asked me a question. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like, what's holding you back? Like, what's holding you back from getting close to God? And I kind of just told her, I want to have fun. I love the life I'm living. Because yes, at this time I would get these waves of feeling empty, but I would also distract myself by going to festivals, by going to party, hanging out with my friends every weekend, drinking, being wild with my friends every weekend. So on the external, my life was good. I had a lot of money. The devil would hook it up with money because I was serving him. I was a faithful servant to the devil, which I'm a faithful servant to Jesus now. But yeah, I would get hooked up with so much money. So externally, my life was good. And I told her that, like, I feel like if I give my life to Jesus, I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna miss out on maybe my spirituality walk. Maybe like he's holding me back. I'm gonna miss out. I had fear of missing out. I had FOMO. That's cringe, but yeah, I had like bad FOMO, fear of missing out. And she just gave me this analogy, that just completely changed my life, pretty much. She talked about how Adam and Eve, God gave Adam and Eve everything. He gave him everything. They could have sex, they could have kids with no problem, they could have everything, eat anything, do whatever. They were living the life. Like, God gave them everything. Gave them everything except for, this tree and this fruit. That was the only thing. But she had everything. And the devil deceived her. He made her think, look at what you're missing out on. Like, you are missing out on this. But really, she had everything. She had everything she needed and more. And she looked at me and she told me, she was like, "Kim, you are in bondage. You have everything. You're not missing out on anything if you give your life to the Lord." And at that exact moment, when she just gave me that analogy, it was like hundreds of veils, of thick veils, were just lifted from my eyes, and I was finally able to see Jesus. He gave me my vision, my true vision. He gave me ears to hear and eyes to see, and I saw the truth, and I saw how deceived I was. I was deceived. I was lied to. I was completely lied to. I was thinking that I was a little goddess finding her way back to being God, and all of these crazy New Age lies, which New Age is just a whole lie in itself. I am not educated enough to make a video on that, but I will put some videos of that in the bio, because oh my goodness, I was just so deceived. And at that exact moment, I gave my life to God. I gave my life to Jesus. I gave my life back to him. From that moment on, he from that day, he set me free. He set me free from the things I was trying to get free from myself, from lust, from lying, from insecurity, from feeling purposeless. He gave me purpose. He gave me a plan for my life. He received me. He received me with open arms, and he didn't shame me. He didn't shove all the things I did in my face. He didn't shove all the things I said about him into my face, no matter how hard I pushed him away. So patient and kind and loving to me, and he was just ready to receive me with open arms like the amazing father he is. And I just get emotional just talking about it still, because it's just crazy. It's crazy what he's done in my life. It's crazy how he transformed my life. Anyone who sees me from my past, who sees me now, like, they don't even think I'm the same person. But it's not because of my works, it's not because of what I do, but it's because of who he is and what he's done in my life. And he did it. The Lord did it. He saw me just seeking the truth, like the actual truth. He has healed me, and he's still healing me, and I'm getting better every day. And I've never reached that perfect person. I've never been that perfect Christian, but he's healing me and helping me each and every single day, and he could do the same for you. And if you're watching this, and if you're still watching this, it is not by coincidence that you're watching this. He sees you, and he wants to help you, and you just need to take that step, that leap of faith, and just give your life to Jesus. And if there is anything that you can take out of this video, is to trust God and give your life to him, because he loves you, and he wants you, and he has a purpose for you. He has a plan for your life, and he's amazing. He is my best friend, and these past 7 months have been the absolute best. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I pray that you guys all take that leap of faith and seek Jesus and just talk to him. I encourage you guys, I just encourage everyone, just talk to him. So yeah, goodbye.